you have so many options to choose from when it comes down to protein. So where the heck do you begin? They're not all created equal. I will tell you that right then and there. Sure, they all have protein in them. All the protein sources, of course, are going to have protein, but some have supporting nutrients that are going to help you synthesize more protein, and some have additional fats and additional vitamins that are going to just make you a better person. So when we look at the big picture, what are the top proteins to consume, whether you are on a ketogenic diet or not? Okay, they're going to be the same, but the best proteins for a regular diet are also going to be the best for a keto diet. Let's go ahead and let's dive in, but please do hit that red subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so you can turn on notifications. Let's rock and roll. First one that's going to make the list is going to be sardines. All right, I talk about them all the time, and some of you are like, Thomas, I'm so tired of you talking about sardines, and I get it, but they make the list. Okay, they make the list because you're going to get the best abundance of omega-3 fatty acids that you can possibly find, but you're also going to get the bioavailable vitamin D that you need from the skin, from the bones, and everything like that in the sardines. That's going to help support not only your bones, but support your mood, but studies have also shown has a big impact on directly belly fat. So that is pretty darn interesting right then and there. Now, additionally, they're convenient as heck. Now, you're not going to open up a can of sardines on the airplane next to the attractive person next to you. I get it. But you may at least get to the airport and then go hide in a corner and eat them. It's not as easy as a protein shake, but at least it's convenient when you get those little 100-gram little cans, right? So that's why it makes the list. It's convenient, it's efficient, and it's one of the best overall just fat sources that you can get in addition to being an amazing protein source. Another thing to remember with sardines is because they're small and they're smaller down the food chain, there's less heavy metal exposure. So in the world of eating fish, you want to go smaller. Smaller is better, less metal exposure. All right, the next one we have to talk about is one that everyone here will probably be happy to hear about, and that is beef and beef liver. Now, I added beef liver as an afterthought simply because I understand that there's sort of an acquired taste and acquired texture with beef liver, but let's talk about beef and beef liver sort of together as one. Okay, beef, the cool thing is very high in what is called heme iron. That's a unique kind of iron that's actually bioavailable. It's not the same kind of iron you're going to get from eating spinach and things like that. This is an iron that's truly going to be bioavailable and usable in your body to help transport oxygen. So you get a better workout, so you're healthier, so you get better nutrient delivery overall. The other thing, of course, there's not going to be any metal contamination. So normally if you're trying to get meats that are rich in omega-3s, you're going to end up dealing with heavy metal contamination because you're dealing with fish, right? Well, obviously not the case with beef. Now, when we compare beef to chicken and to other poultry and things like that, here's what we have to look at. Typically, when you look at a chicken, the fatty acid profile is going to be pretty much garbage. What do they feed chickens? Tons and tons of soy, tons of corn, and it is nasty. Plus, they're usually in small cages where they're having to pump them full of antibiotics. So the fatty acid profile is not that good, and you end up with a bunch of other just hormone modulating effects that you don't really want from chicken. Does that mean you should never eat chicken? Absolutely not. I'm just saying that beef is a little bit superior. You don't want to eat beef all the time as well. It's also very, very critical that it's grass-fed, grass-finished. Otherwise, you end up with a bunch of omega-6 fatty acids in the first place. And when you're buying beef, you have to look at the label and it has to say grass-finished. Okay, grass-fed mean that they can feed it grass pellets. Okay, it doesn't mean they're actually grass-fed. So they can be fed grass pellets for a couple days in their life, and they can be considered grass-fed at that point, which is a little bit scary. Now with beef liver, I consider beef liver probably the most nutrient-rich food that is on the planet. And the reason is because it has all the vitamins, all the B vitamins, plus a lot of the protein, plus a little bit of fat, but most importantly, it gets you the bioactive retinol form of vitamin A. That is so important for so many functions within your body. It also helps support vitamin D, so you get bioavailable vitamin D, bioavailable vitamin A. Anyhow, if you haven't tried liver, you should. But if you can't do liver, at least stick it to having some good quality beef. I do want to highly recommend ButcherBox down below in the description. So they're a grass-fed and grass-finished meat delivery service. So you can get grass-fed, grass-finished meat delivered to your doorstep. They are honestly what I use almost exclusively these days because they have whatever I want. I highly recommend it. It generally is less costly than the grocery store, especially when it comes down to good quality grass-fed, grass-finished. So you definitely want to check them out. Special discount, special pricing, and special offers down below after you watch this video in the description. Next up are going to be eggs. Now I have a lot to say about eggs, both good and bad, but they do make the list as far as proteins go. They make the list because they are the most abundant amino acid rich food that you can find. I will start with a caveat though. Eggs can be inflammatory. Why can they be inflammatory? Well, because the egg white is full of immunoglobulins, it's full of immunoactive systems, right? It's there to grow a life, which also means it's there to help support that life in getting the proper immune system. So sometimes when we consume a lot of egg whites, we end up with an inflammatory response of our own. We just have to be careful. So if you feel like you get inflamed, you don't feel good after eating eggs, I recommend getting the egg white out of the equation and just having the yolk, because the yolk is going to have the bulk of the vitamins, just a little bit less protein. Now the cool thing about eggs, they have the perfect 1-to-1 ratio of proteins to fats. That's like the perfect, just standard ratio for the basic ketogenic diet that's not going down any kind of therapeutic rabbit holes. Super, super duper important that you get pasture-raised eggs, okay? If you get regular eggs, they're coming from caged chickens, which means that you're going to have all the antibiotics and all the hormones pumping through right to the egg. Okay. Additionally, cage-free doesn't necessarily mean that they're pasture-raised. That just means they're in larger hen houses where they're still crammed and being fed a bunch of antibiotics to combat the fact that they're just eating each other's feces and doing really nasty things. Okay? So be very, very careful with that. Now, if you get good quality eggs, you're going to have a high amount of omega-3s in them, but the omega-3s that are going to be in those eggs are going to be from a form known as alpha-linoleic acid, ALA. Omega-3s from ALA are not nearly as cool as omega-3s that come from grass-fed beef or from fish. But here's a hot tip for you. If you cook your eggs and you add a little bit of black pepper and a little bit of turmeric, what can happen is the bioactive curcumin in the turmeric helps enzymes convert the omega-3s from ALA to the usable DHA form. Simply put, it turns the egg fat into more of an animal or fish fat. Not literally, but that's basically what's happening inside your body. Now one for those that are trying to go a little bit less meat in their life, right? So the vegans, the vegetarians, or that just want just a little change. Pea protein. Pea protein is unique, first of all, because of all the vegan and vegetarian proteins, it's nice because it's mechanically separated. They get the protein through a mechanical separation versus a chemical separation. Normally, if you have like a vegan or vegetarian form of protein, like soy, it's gonna be chemically separated. You end up with a bunch of toxins coming in your body that way. So at least we've got that going for us. Now, pea protein is almost a complete protein. So what the heck does that mean? It means that it is lacking one amino acid from being complete. So then why is it on Thomas's list? That seems like counterproductive. Well, guess what? The one amino acid that is lacking is known as methionine. And methionine is an amino acid that you are going to get from anything. You're not going to be deficient in methionine. It's very rare. Okay? So if you're just eating any kind of food at all, you're getting methionine in. And the interesting thing is methionine is actually a precursor to homocysteine, which is not good. Homocysteine is what can trigger heart disease. It's very pro-inflammatory. So in other words, it's a good thing that you have all the essential amino acids with the exception of methionine, because then you're with a nicer ratio of protein to methionine. Meaning you get the protein, you get the benefit without the health damaging effects of the methionine linking to homocysteine. Not to say that methionine is going to kill you. I'm not trying to fearmonger here. I'm just saying it is advantageous when we look at pea protein. So why am I not wrapping up the video yet? Well, it's because I have an honorable mention. Okay, this one makes the cut as an honorable mention and quite honestly should have made the top 5, but it's so weird and odd, I just didn't think that people would like it because it's like, this isn't something I necessarily want to try, but I encourage you to try it. Okay, cricket protein. You've probably seen cricket protein powders and stuff out there. It's not bad. You might as well take a look. But here's the thing. 2 times as much protein density as other kinds of meat, right? So like we've got beef, chicken, twice as much protein density. Then we have a good amount of fiber, more fiber than spinach from a particular kind of fiber from the exoskeleton, so very effective in the body, but also a great omega-3 level. Now granted, the omega-3 to omega-6 profile is not as good as it would be with, say, salmon, but still not too shabby at all. And for those of you that really give a care about the environment, a heck of a lot more sustainable. So it's just worth mentioning as an honorable mention. The best thing that you can do is probably rotate through your proteins anyway. Have a little bit of each, test them out, see what works for you. I think my favorites are probably going to come down to sardines and beef when I look at this list. But at the end of the day, you got to choose what's best for you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. If you have ideas for future videos, put them down below. And also, thank you for checking out ButcherBox down below in the description. See you soon. There are so many different kinds of proteins that you could be taking, right? Like we've got different protein powders, we've got different meat sources, veggie sources. I need you to forget everything that you know about protein synthesis and about building muscle and about protein consumption, okay? I'm gonna flip some stuff on its head and give you a better understanding of what's really happening inside your body so you can make the best choices. Are you consuming too much protein? Let's break it down, all right? Because a lot of times people lead us to believe that we need to be consuming these massive amounts of protein, especially if we're dieting and especially if we're training really hard and we're trying to build muscle or we're trying to stay lean.